If you give someone who is already very wealthy, for example, a tax cut, number one, the economic theory of the diminishing marginal utility of money means that $1,000 to them is of far smaller value or utility than $1,000 to someone who makes $30,000. Would we at least both agree with that piece?
Yeah, of
We
course.
would.
Hmm.
Additionally, the person for whom that $1,000 is not really worth very much is not as likely to spend that money as the person who earns $30,000. It's much more likely they would just put that money in a bank account. It's almost like a rounding error for them. They wouldn't even really notice it. Do we agree with that piece?
Yes.
We do. And
Mhm.
based on the concept of economic multipliers, we know that someone putting $1,000 in a saving account is not nearly as good for the economy by several orders of magnitude as someone taking that $1,000 and spending it at the grocery store and on a new car and on a vacation. Would we agree with that piece of it?
You're saying a dollar spent on expense is better than a dollar invested?
I'm saying that saving money in a bank account is not stimulative in the way that, for example, supporting local businesses by buying products and services is.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree.
So therefore, don't we have to come to the conclusion that simply giving a tax cut to rich people is not this obviously great thing for the economy?
Yeah, here's the psychology part of that.
Okay.
What are all of the major news organizations reporting about the tax cut? Because I'm pretty sure that the news, the professionals who essentially assign opinions to the public,
Okay.
because the public doesn't have an independent opinion about the economy. Very few of them have any kind of background in which that would make any sense.
That's fair.
So for economics and politics and any of the big questions in life, our opinions are assigned to us by the people on television, the people in the news, the opinion makers. And the opinion makers are pretty well agreed that tax cuts are stimulative.
So
So that
basically, you're
should
saying that
have,
it almost doesn't matter that giving tax cuts to rich people is not stimulative in the way that giving a middle class tax cut is. If people believe that it is, then what? People go and spend money they don't actually have because they think tax cuts for rich people are good?
in general, optimism drives the economy. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, I think that optimism by those who are controlling whether the Dow goes up or down does drive the economy. But I'm not sure I've seen any evidence that, Joe Schmo who makes $37,000 a year being optimistic actually drives the economy before just getting Joe to make some bad decisions and going into credit card debt.
So in order for the economy to grow, people have to think that next year is going to be better than this year so that they will invest. So in the investor class, there are people who are investing who maybe would not have otherwise just because of the psychology of it. They've been told, hey, tax cuts. Now, tax cuts, we're talking at it like it's an isolated thing. If everything depended on tax cuts, I'm not sure that would even be enough of a variable to move the world. But we're also talking about a bigger story of regulations being cut. Frankly, I can't think of one regulation specifically that got cut that makes any real world difference. But as long as the president's talking about it and people think that matters, and maybe it does, I don't know, then that's another piece of information that says, oh, optimism. You see him negotiating with other countries. We'll talk about that more.
Yeah.
But that makes people think, oh, that's a good thing. That's somebody who knows what they're doing. They're playing tough. Might be a little pain in the short run, but should work out. So the president has embarked on a package of influence, if you will, that collectively makes the average person think, huh, I think things are going in the right direction. And
Then
when
why
people
does he
think
only have
that,
a 38%? If it's the average person who thinks things are going well, why is his approval rating 38%?
well, his approval rating is not based on the economy alone. If it were, I suppose we'd get different numbers.
But
By the way,
it is always one
did,
of the most important elements for figuring out whether you think the president's doing a good job. Self-reported, people say
did,
economy is a top issue.
do you know the stats offhand? I don't. Of how many people approve of the president's economics?
Not
It's
offhand.
higher
No,
than,
not offhand.
but it's higher, right? It's,
I'm
it's
not sure,
closer to
honestly.
50%. Right. So if you can get any politician in this country to get a 40 to 50% approval on anything in the year 2019, that's really good, right? Because we have such a team sport thing going on that nobody's going to get 70% approval on anything anymore. Those days are gone. So if you're telling me the president only got 40% or only got 50% approval on a specific thing, my immediate reaction is that's probably about as good as you can do
I guess
in our
that
current
makes
world.
it all the more amazing that when you say to people, do you think the government has a duty to provide some basic level of health care, regardless of ability to pay? It's amazing that there's more than 70% on that, isn't it?
Oh, on healthcare, I'm a critic of the president.
Yeah,
So
oh, no, I
I'm
wasn't
probably,
implying you weren't. I'm just saying that it's
yeah.
amazing that there's actually 70% is all that more amazing when you consider that.
Well,
There's
like, here's what's amazing about that number. It's amazing that the Republicans don't have a plan, even a bad plan. Just any kind of a frickin' plan is, I would say, it's unforgivable. I mean, it's horrible. So,
don't disagree there.
I'm a strong critic of that. That is one of the few cases where we can all agree. And I think the 70% gets to the fact that nobody's got an idea how to fix this, but everybody wants it fixed.